All right, I want to run a test on clarity. So this is the GH5 shooting in 4K, 24 frames per second. We're in the natural profile. ISO is at 320. I have a key light which is exactly an arm's length away, set to 10%. It's a large key light, and we are using an SLR Magic 25mm 50 equivalent T0.95. I have an ND, a variable ND filter on the front here set to minimum. So that is the first combination. Let's see. And I want to test clarity of lighting. So this is minimum, okay? We are underexposed. So we're going for a little darker image. Now let's turn the key light up to probably 20%, keeping the variable ND at minimum. So now key light is at 20%. Nothing else has changed. The variable ND is set to minimum 320 ISO. And we are closer to perfect exposure now, obviously. We're going to do one more increase on the light. Let's go to 30% and see what that exposure looks like. So now this is 30% on the key light. We are in a completely dark room, so there is no additional lighting except for a small red LED in the back. All right, next test, let's lower the key light and we're going to increase ISO and see what that looks like. Okay, now key light is back to 10% because I like a soft key light, especially when I have such a large diffuser like this. I have a giant, what is this? Probably a 2.5 foot by 4 foot softbox with a diffusion panel in front. And we're at 500 ISO now. So now we're at 500 ISO, 10% on the key light. Variable ND is still on and it is set to minimum. We are shooting at wide open, T0.95. So how does this look? Let's do one more increase on the ISO, leaving everything else as it is. Okay. So now the ISO is at 640. So this is a 640 ISO. Nothing else has changed. 640 ISO. Now we're just a couple bars underexposed. So how is this image? All right, next we are going to keep the key light at 10%, obviously. We're going to take the variable ND off and go down to a minimum ISO. Now this is our image without the variable ND filter, 10% on the key light, which is still just an arm's length away, and 200 ISO. So this is a very bright image. We are perfectly exposed, so dead on with the exposure of the camera, okay? But we are at T0.95. So let's darken it up and let's see what it takes to get to that nice looking happy medium, kind of a darker, edgy image. Now this is T2. So essentially, we went up a couple stops, still at 200 ISO, base level ISO, 10% on the key light, but we are now at T2. So still a very bright image, so let's go up. This is 2.8. This is T2.8. Everything else is the same. But now we're starting to darken up a bit. The key light really fills the room. I just adjusted it a little bit to get a little more shadow on this half of my face. We could do something like that. So let's go up one more stop. All right, actually I went up 2. I wanted to go up 2 just to darken it up and see how it looks. Key light's at 10%, no ND filter, ISO is at 200. Now we are actually at T5.6. So we skipped 4, went right up to T5.6. Let's find kind of that happy medium here. Let's raise the key light to 20%. Key light is now at 20%. ISO 200, everything else is the same. So this is the image with the key light at 20%. And again, we are at T5.6. So that's a comparison of some different settings to see what the image looks like, to see if clarity changes, to see if the overall feel of the image changes. Now again, we're shooting with the GH5 in 4K, natural profile. I'm not going to color grade it. We're shooting with the SLR Magic, 25mm, 50mm equivalent, T0.95. So what do you all think? Do you feel like there's a difference in clarity or a difference in kind of the vibe of the image that you get? I wanted to make a comparison of changing different variables to see how it affects the image, if it affects the image at all, and to see maybe what you like best so that you already know walking into it, well, we're not going to utilize a VND, we're just going to key light it this way or whatever you want to do. But now at least you have an idea if it affects the image. Catch you next video.